So good morning, everyone. This is Steve, and it's Saturday, September. Wow. It's ready to say August. September the 3rd. And, well, I guess, Carlos, we're getting those seasonal changes now. I'm noticing some trees with speckled yellow in them, especially the black walnuts around our house. They are starting to, they will start to lose their leaves fairly soon. We have poplar also. Poplar goes through a 2-stage shedding process. It seems like we get something in July where just 1 day, 1 or 2 days, it's a bunch of leaves drop. Not all of them, but a bunch of them do. And I think that's due to the shallow nature of their roots. So, well, just getting ready here. I'm at Lake Nakamixon, switching out shirts and finishing a cup of Starbucks coffee. Putting on my lime yellow shirt. I don't think it's hunting season yet. I hope not. I think I saw somebody post something about dove hunting, hearing people firing shots. So I work with said dove breast is really good, wrapped in bacon. But they're small. That's all you get. You just get a tiny little breast. So I just want to say, it's funny things. I heard recently people commenting on sounds in their podcast, such as the beeps. And Norm trying to get rid of his beeps. And somebody else was commenting on that. And I don't know if it was Jim or Kevin or Carlos. Somebody else talking about the beeps. But something I hear often for Jim, and I like the sound of it. It is him stopping to take a drink, and whatever he's drinking from has that fun canister sound, that boop, and then he's taking a swig, and then boop, put the lid back on. So it is a very cloudy day. We've got, I guess it's probably the storm system out there, Hermine, that is providing us a cloud cover today. It's going to be cool. And I think that's it for today. It's going to be in the 70s, cloudy, cool. Anna has to work as a lifeguard today. It will be a lonely, quiet day. She's expecting to get lots of homework done. So she's working at the private pool. It's a development pool, and sometimes nobody shows up. This would be one of those days. So welcome to Labor Day weekend. Nice, cloudy, and cool. End of summer. Or it actually is saying summer's gone, but it's not. We're supposed to get back into the mid-80s next week, I think. Anyway, I'm going to catch up with you in the trail after I finish my coffee. Thanks. Okay, I'm out on the road here. Well, the road to youth services. I haven't used this part of the trail for a while. I've been sticking to the true trails instead of the pavement that goes off-road. So passing by the youth services office, and a little boat launch. I should ask the local stables, Haycock Stables, when do they not come out here for horseback riding as far as hunting seasons go? it'd be good to know what is considered most safe. Because I hate losing access to this trail. But there are not any no hunting signs posted until you get to the top of the trail. Near the private property. Well, let's see. I have a few family updates. We'll start with we'll go from least dramatic to most dramatic. So the least dramatic is my 87-year-old father had some testing on a polyp they found, and the end result is they're just going to watch out for bleeding because he's on blood thinners, and you don't want that bleeding to occur. But nothing cancerous was found. My mom she had some tests also, same GI type of thing, and she expects to hear back next Friday. Is that almost sound like a duck call. I almost forgot to set my timer. That's something I need to set for my own good. So mom and dad are doing okay. For 87 and 70, she'll be 79 in November. So she is trying to avoid breads or wheat. She doesn't think she has celiacs, but she's finding gluten is giving her some bad responses in her body, so best to avoid them. The next dramatic piece is my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law had hip surgery back in February, and she's really been struggling with healing, being on her feet, but part of the problem is she's got bad knees, so she's trying to stand up on her hips and get them exercised, and then her knees give out, so that's no fun. Filling some sprinkles here. I was considering lowering my walk time to a minute. Maybe I should take it down gradually just to a minute and a half. So she's been slow to heal, lots of soreness, slow progress, and she's 81. Well, they are doing an MRI to see if there's anything else going on, and they did an MRI of her upper back, and they found a benign tumor on her spine. So I've mentioned this before. So Thursday, we're getting rain, and I have no baggie with me. Bummer. And I am not under the cover of the canopy. I'll just try to hold my phone strategically, then maybe slip it into my pocket if it doesn't let up. So Thursday was the surgery to see what they can do to remove that tumor, and it was risky. Left to itself, eventually would paralyze her, but then depending on how it was actually situated on the spine, could leave her paralyzed. So that left my wife pretty much on edge, stress level pretty high. You know, going to see mom. This may be the last I see of my mom as I know her. All those kind of fears. So she had to report to the hospital Thursday at 9 for surgery at 11. So I get home from work at 5 and there's no word on how she's doing, how the surgery went. The only person down with her was my 83-year-old father-in-law. He's a little squeamish, so hospitals, he doesn't like to be around so much. So he doesn't like to see people hooked up to tubes and such. But it is his wife, you know. So he's down there, didn't take a cell phone, no way to contact him, when my wife gets a phone call. We'll call her a good Samaritan. Her name was Christine. Her daughter was having surgery, and she thought my father-in-law seemed a little confused. So she calls Margie directly to say, hey, I'm with your dad, and I'm going to keep a watch after him. So what a blessing she was. She even sent a selfie of the two of them. Eventually, her daughter got released to ICU, and so did my mother-in-law. Not sure why she had to go to ICU. Maybe it's just because of her age. So the next thing we know, around 9 o'clock, Margie's dad is on his way home. Now that concerns Margie. She thought he needs to stay there. It's too late for him. He naps all the time, so she was on pins and needles until he called a little before 10 o'clock to give her an update. And honestly, after that, she just was a new person. All relief. Surgery seemed to go okay. And her father was home safe. So yesterday she went down with her dad around noon to pay mom a visit, and she says when she gets home, Dad and I just have different philosophies of visiting somebody in the hospital. She said, when I had my surgery, it meant so much for me to know you were there, and you were staying there, and you were there to comfort me, and to just be present. Whereas her father, it's like, oh, she's going to take a nap? Well, there's nothing for me to do. I guess I'll go home. So she said she had to convince him to stay as long as they stayed, which wasn't all that long. Yeah, not sure if it's just him. It's not generational or anything like that. So the doctor's report was they felt they got all that they could safely which was about 75% of the tumor, and felt like there's no further treatment in her lifetime that she'll need. Yeah, she's 81, so life expectancy, she certainly outlived her parents. She is I think she's third oldest right now, and she is the oldest surviving sibling. So we'll see. I know that whole thought process, that whole area of thinking, something Margie would rather not think about, though she knows. Yeah, Mom and Dad are falling apart in front of us, kind of. And we're watching the slow but ever increasing speed decline. Now my parents, for all they've been through, especially my dad, doing pretty well for an 87-year-old. So I think that's part of the thing. If they had found cancer, I think my dad was planning to refuse treatment. He's 87. He's lived a very blessed life. And he is thankful for the many extra years he ever thought he'd have. All right, so that's 2 family updates. One with little drama, one with quite a bit of drama, I tell you. Just seeing the way that Margie's countenance changed after hearing from her dad. And now there's update number 3. And I would rather there not be this drama. So it involves son number 1, Mitchell. So the drama in his life always just turns your stomach in knots. Oh, let me slip something in real quick. Our son Wayne called one night for his own little drama about his car. It was running rough. And he's supposed to be in Delaware this weekend. Didn't know when he could get his car looked at from work. It is a 93 Bonneville. But he found somebody that same evening and replaced the ignition coil, and that fixed it. The only follow-up was he read up afterwards to find out what causes an ignition coil to go bad. So he starts to wonder if the mechanic looked into things other than just replacing it. Like, is this going to go bad again? What can I do to avoid? So anyway, so that's Wayne. Back to Mitchell. Mitchell has been working for a public relations firm called CRC. So CRC in Alexandria, Virginia. And he's been looking for opportunities to work somewhere else. Tried to encourage him to stay there for 2 years. Things seemed to be going well, but he seemed to have an itch. And of course, if you have a supervisor you're at loggerheads with, well, you might be motivated to look a little early. So that's what he's been doing, and he had a couple of interviews with a place that he interned at a couple of years ago that he really likes the people there. And the first interview was just prior to his coming home in August. So about a month ago. And he thought that went really well, but the job seemed above him. He just didn't really have the experience he felt to really do the job. But they called him back for a second interview. He wasn't so sure how the second interview went. Well, they called him back for a third interview, which was supposed to be yesterday. And so he told Margie he had a third interview with that firm on Friday and 2 other interviews on Capitol Hill. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Sometimes a meeting that is just to introduce yourself to somebody, saying, hey, I know you don't have any needs right now, but here's who I am, would love to work for you, or in your office, or something like that, or on your committee, if there becomes an opening. So we don't know if it was two true interviews, like for an open position, or if it was just kind of a get to know you type of interview, because we've heard him use interview in that way before. Well, his Friday third interview became a Wednesday third interview, and somebody had just given notice, a 2 weeks notice, in an area that he was more interested in. So he was more interested in foreign policy than national security. So he figured he had more of an interest and exposure to foreign policy than national security. So I think he was excited about the possibility. So Margie tried to catch up with him. How'd the interview go? She doesn't hear anything. So finally, Thursday morning, she gets a text, or series of texts, explaining. He thought the interview went well. They contacted his current employer. Alarms start going off. They contacted his current employer. Oops, I say, unless he said, look, if you're considering offering me a position, like really serious, yeah, you can contact my employer. Now, these two firms work closely together. And evidently, one is promoting a book being published by the other. And let's see, I've made it to the end of the one trail, and now I'm on the up hike a little bit. So evidently in his contract there's a non-poaching clause. And so they are accusing the other company of trying to poach him. So now he's upset. And sure, yeah, things were going along. Doors seemed to be opening. And suddenly, well, we don't know. What are the possibilities? You want to go work for another firm? You're fired. We don't know. Or, hey, you're stuck with us. Suck it up, but don't expect any favors. You know, you just don't know what people will do. We gave you such a good review. We gave you a nice raise. And this is how you repay us, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, oh boy, Thursday morning, I was all like, ew, man, I don't like the sound of this. I can't imagine going to work on Thursday morning facing people who, and maybe you only face HR, who are calling you on something. I don't know whether he should have known or they should have known. I don't know. So we don't know where anything stands. And we don't know if the place pursuing him will say, hey, sorry, we didn't really mean it. We back away. Nobody gets hurt. So it's just been silence since Thursday morning. So we're a little on pins and needles that way. Because we don't know what's happening. And ignorance. Not always, but ignorance usually can foster fear. Now, if you see a boulder rolling downhill at you at lightning speed, there's no ignorance. There's only fear, and that's to be expected. So, ignorance isn't always the cause of fear, but I'd say many times it is. So we're in the dark right now about that. Hope I have something good to report. We were thinking pretty positively. All of a sudden it feels like the rug gets taken out. Oop, cobwebs. First on the trail gets blessed with cobwebs. Oh yeah, I forget. From here on out, it's pretty much cobweb city till I get back to my car. So that's the drama. That's the high drama. I mean, the other drama was life-threatening, but, you know, looking back at how I'm defining drama, and we're still in the middle of drama with Mitchell. Oh, how I wish we weren't. So we'll see if we hear anything today. All right, so that's it for the drama updates. Last night I went shopping. I really wasn't feeling up to shopping. I was feeling kind of tired. But I thought, hey, why not? All right, still going uphill, but I'll jog a little. So, Margie and Anna wanted to go to the discount places to shop. But what are you shopping for? Something I like. Okay. Anything in particular? Nope. Just looking to see if there's anything I like. Clothes? Yeah, clothes. Okay. So, because it's in town and nearby, we go to Ross, Dress for Less. And they're going to look at dresses and tops and shoes. So I thought, well, you know, my favoritist running shoes are either purchased from Ross, Dress for Less, or Burlington Factory, a bigger version of the same thing. So, find myself a sweet pair of bright orange, which is very unlike me, Nike free running shoes. Nice wide in the toe box. This is my preference. $40. Size 12. Margie says, size 12? But you're a size 9. I said, well, that's when I didn't care about my feet getting squished together. I think the summer I ran barefoot. My feet got smaller, or bigger, actually, because they had room to grow. All right, we're dancing over roots. And the trail's not too steep, just nice and windy. By the way, love the pictures I'm seeing on Friends of the Seeker podcast. Nice eye for a shot. I just haven't seen anything lately. Sometimes I think that, take pictures, and then later go, oh, that actually looked pretty good. And today being so cloudy, I'm not sure I'm going to find anything. We'll see. I don't usually see critters on the trail, just the feathered kind that make noise. Once in a while, the furry-tailed kind that scamper up trees. But nothing very big. No fox, no deer, etc. No bear yet. So I see the exact same pair of shoes. $60. It's like, what? And I see the exact same pair of shoes. $50. What? Well, it depended on the size and probably on the source. Wherever they got their shoes, that's how they price them. So, my pair said, compare it $80. Okay? The $60 pair said, compare it $85. So $5 projected, manufacturer's suggested retail price was a $20 difference in the Ross price. Thought that was interesting. All right, we are doing a down, down, down to the creek bed. It's pretty dry on the way over here. I noticed crossed a bridge over the an end of the lake, and it didn't look like it was just lily pads, but cracked, drying mud. I think it's just typical of summer. They may drain, it's for drinking water, so people still drink, and when you don't get the source constantly fed, it's going to start to dry up some. All right, well, the sprinkles thankfully lasted just a little short while. So I bought those shoes. They're bright orange and kind of like you think of lime green, bright neon type of colors. They're orange variety of shoe. They felt pretty good. All right, that means pick up the piece, hailstone, over the rocks, and up the bank. So if another guy hadn't tried this on, I wouldn't have noticed, but I also picked up I forget what company, whether it's Nike or what, but a long-sleeved lime green overwear. And so you wear a shirt, a t-shirt underneath for cooler weather. I thought, I could really like that when it gets down there, and it's getting so dark in the morning or evening now. Other times I want to go out. Perfect. So that was $21, which honestly that was a lot. I think it'll be good for safety. Hey Jim, good for safety. This doesn't have any lights to run with, like knuckle lights or shoe lights or head torch. This park that I'm in has posted hours of 8 a.m. until dusk. And I asked, I'll walk a little bit as I head up. I asked one time, so 8 a.m., I'd really love to go running, when it's light and early. And they said, oh, that's fine. So I started here about 7:15, even though clearly it's marked park hours, 8 a.m. until dusk. And that's probably true of the bike trails that are on the northeast side of the lake. But I know runners sometimes go up there to run with head torches on at night. I have not tried such a feat. Okay, reminder, a good check tick when I'm done. All right, back up more steeply we go. And all is quiet, except for road noises in the distance. Cricket chirps. And a little bit of leaf rustling. But 2 weeks ago, when I ventured on the Rodale Preserve in Emmaus, that noise on the leaves up above was rain. Which I don't think I ever sent the YouTube link for that outing. If I think about it. I think I need to add everybody to my... it says stop running. Very good. I'm ahead of the game. Nice and rocky here. And on the uphill, so I'm doing the hike the hill or in the flats format. Feeling pretty well these days. little nausea in the mornings, not heavy nausea. So I'm just kind of testing that out for a couple of weeks. So today's outing is about 4 miles, if I remember correctly. I think I will run here. Yesterday, been looking for an opportunity to communicate with my mom. So, love my mom. She's a real blessing to me. And she's connected. And sometimes awkward things happen online. I probably told this story before about when I first started working at the church. I was at a furniture store, and there was a park bench type of thing with a life-sized, I don't know what they make it out of. It's a plaster of Paris, but honestly I don't know, figure of President Obama. And I sat next down to him. Had a picture taken, posted it online saying, a new friend, and my mom, in the comments section. Which, okay, at least it's related to the posting. It starts to say, oh, is that one of your pastors at your church? It's like, oh, Mom, really? And he's like, yeah, really. Took a while, but I played the game. I posted back and forth on this in the comments post, kind of ribbing my mom. Okay, so that's example one. Other examples go more like this. Hey, it looks like a beautiful place you visited. Love the architecture. Oh, the weather here is 103 degrees and dry. Fires are in the area. Or let's see. Oh, you're baking cookies. Looks yummy. The temperature here is 110. So, the problem is, and you may have noticed it here on the podcast from time to time, is that something comes to mind and you go off track. Let's see. Not looking to romp through the mud here. So, carefully we take it. There we go. So yesterday, I see this article about the FDA saying it's a waste of time to use normally antibacterial soaps, except in hospital areas, places where it's really important to rid the absence of bacteria. But generally speaking, companies need to stop putting in whatever they put in their soaps then stopped selling antibacterial stuff. And for a long time, I said, I wish I could just find regular soap. You know, some of the things you're washing away are beneficial. Or you have no exposure to anything harmful. The next harmful thing that comes along is going to kick your butt. So, and I'm sure there's great rebuttal to that. Anyway, that's the way I think. Just want regular soap and water. And that was the conclusion of this article. So I posted it and said, but how are they going to sell their soap if they can't market it as antibacterial? It's just soap. So my mom posts underneath. She says, yeah, I don't do those things. By the way, how's Margie's mom? So I pulled up the old Facebook Messenger to personally message my mom. Say, hey mom, been wanting to say something because you do this quite a lot. I mean, it's kind of a joke in the family about how this goes. I said, there's some things that you post that ought rather to be a personal message, or at least, focused on the post that's there. I said, for example, today, I'm posting something on antibacterial soap. And then you ask if there's an update on Margie's mom. I said, so unrelated. So I said, I thought you would rather know than not know about patterns like this. So I tried in the gentlest way to rebuke my mom, and she took it well. She always has. That's the great thing about my mom. When I was a kid, we called her the jerk in loving fashion. And that was describing the way that she drove a stick shift. I said, Mom, you're being a jerk. It had nothing to do with being a jerk. She was just a jerky driver. And so she said, well, I don't always remember where the original thread is, and I felt it was kind of an excuse, but I do understand. It's like, hey, I don't want to forget to ask that, so I'll interrupt our conversation and talk about this instead. So, anybody have anybody in their life like that? Besides me. By the way, I'm describing myself too, unfortunately. My conversations are often, let's multitask in our conversation. It works for some people, and other people, it just bugs them to no end. My wife being one of them. Hey, focus on the conversation at hand. So that's what I encouraged her. And I said, hey, I do the same thing verbally, and it's a tough thing for me to overcome. Just to focus on the conversation at hand. So it's a good application for the principle at work, especially, where you're trying to do something focused, and I know I can tend to bring up other matters when I'm supposed to be talking about subject A, and I bring up XYZ. So I know where I got it honestly from. when Margie met all my sisters the day before our wedding, she went out to lunch with them. And her response to me was, "Oh my goodness, Stephen, they all talk all the time about everything and they never finish a conversation." It's that about the apple not falling too far from the tree. So, you know, when you're with somebody like that and you don't really care and you just want to talk, that's fine. I think that's the reason why sometimes I'll have a conversation with my mom for an hour. And she'll say, "So, what you guys talk about for an hour?" Lots of stuff. Such as, well, she talked about some piano students. For an hour? Well, she talked about a couple at her church that she's working with English as a second language. Okay, anything else? Like anything important? Like family news? I don't remember. And then, of course, a month later, oh yeah, she did say that. Brother. All right, well, I think I will pay attention to more of my run until I get done here. So, again, reminding you, Steve at Lake Nakamixon on a Saturday morning, September 3rd. Trees marked with blue paint. Not sure why. And just like that, we're back to camp. Didn't realize I was that close, but a nice end of the trail run where the roots and rocks aren't so bad. All right, well, we'll just wrap things up. So Steve's little update on his family. Running gear, by the way, sporting my Scoosh band. Haven't really needed it up to this point. Nothing in my eyes, though I am wearing a Chicago White Sox baseball cap that I probably got from Frosted Flakes back in the 90s. And it's starting to look a little Needs to be washed, or rinsed at least. Salt buildup on the brim. So I'll say it's looking a little dodgy. It's not the best quality of hat anyway, but you know, keeps ticks out of the hair and sweat out of the eyes somewhat, depending on how humid the day is. So not sure what else the day holds. We'll get back and try to be useful to my wife. I thought she was working at the picking farm, the vegetable or fruit picking farm. I had it down on my calendar. She says, no, it's not apple season yet. So must have had that 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Let's see, next Saturday we have a group of men coming over to cut split wood again. This is the same group that came in toward the end of June, I think. So this is part 2. Really do appreciate this group of guys and their servant hearts. And I might go out and see if I can get a couple of pallets to put the wood on, stacked up so it's off the ground. And that just might be about my day. And then serve my wife somehow. All right, so this is Steve out at Nakamixon Woods, we'll say. Not the woods, but you know what I mean. Out on the trails, enjoying a nice early Saturday morning with the critters, the birds mostly. And we'll talk to you all later. Enjoy your extra mile and everything in between. Bye-bye.